Next, we're going to have a look at how to create a temporary placement in HRS Pro, create timesheets for the placement, and also create some contracts. I'm currently sat in a temporary job, and on the details tab for this job you can see that I've entered a date range which is needed for the worker, so 8th of June to the 21st of June every day, Monday to Friday. And you can see on the left hand side in the rates table I've set up a standard hourly rate and a double time rate. I now want to put a temp straight into this job, so I'm going to go straight across to the placements tab, and then on the right hand side of the placements table at the top I'm going to click the green plus. I'm just going to click continue to that message, and then I'm going to find my temp Sarah Noakes just by typing in her name at the top, clicking on her record underneath, and then the next window that appears will be the contract window linked to Sarah Noakes. And the first tab that you can see I'm on is the timesheet details tab, already preset to hourly because that was what I set up on the job underneath. 8 days a week, 5 days a week, 8 hours a day, already preset. The NI rate is being pulled through in from the back office, and her AWR holiday entitlement is automatically defaulting to 28. Again, that's set up in the back office. Timesheet type is defaulting to weekly, and the timesheet end is defaulting to Sunday. Over on the right hand side you can see the rates that I put in on the job record underneath. If for some reason Sarah Noakes was going to get £11 an hour, I can edit her daily rate or her hourly rate in her rate table appropriately. Back on the left it says it's using existing start and end dates, and that's because if I go to the booking details tab we can see that I actually entered an end date for this contract. If I had left the end date open, then the timesheet details field would have said end date is open, and if I then created the timesheets with the end date is open, it would just create one weekly timesheet for that week. If I just go back to the booking details tab, again we can see the start and end date is in there. We can see that it's set to PAYE, which means it's going to calculate NI and holiday pay accrual. And then everything else should be linked above, which it is. If I want to enter or create contracts for the candidate and also the client, if I go to the contract documents tab at the top, we can see that in the back office I've loaded up a client contract and a candidate contract, and these are just purely Word documents which have got merge fields in them. So if I hit the create contract button next to the candidate one, underneath now we can see it's created a contract called Sarah Noakes and Recruitment Force contract, and if I want to open that contract up to see what it looks like inside, if I just click the little icon on the right, it will open it up in Word and we can see what that contract looks like, and we can see it's populated all the merge fields that I've set up in that contract document in Word. And then I can do the same back in the contract window for the client just by clicking on create contract button to the right of the client one. I then get a Toys R Us and Recruitment Force contract below, and again if I want to I can open it up and view it as well. If I want to send or email these contracts to the client and the candidate, then all I need to do at the bottom is just purely fill in the template field. So the one for the client, I might want to enter some text which is called contract setup client, and the candidate one I might want to choose the one called contract setup candidate. That's just the wording in the email, and then I just need to select which attachment to attach to each of those particular emails. So Sarah Noakes for the candidate one and the Toys R Us one for the client. And then when I'm ready to send them, if I just hit the email client button to the right, it will come up saying, "Hi Lewis, please find and close a copy of the employment contract with Sarah Noakes for the role of administrator." And if I go to the linked contacts and attachments tab, there is the contract that it's automatically attached, so I can send that. And then again, if I wanted to go back and send the candidate theirs, I just hit the email candidate button. This one is to Sarah. Again, back to the attachments tab. I'm just going to close my Outlook so it doesn't keep making a noise. Back to the contracts and attachments tab, and we can see it's automatically attached the Sarah Noakes contract, so I can send that. And then we can see they're done because I've got ticks on the little boxes on the right. And when I close this window down in a minute, we'll also see that it's populated the dates that I've sent the contracts as well. So that's the contracts done. Now all I need to do in this contract window is make sure the rates are correct and the dates are correct, and then I'm going to create the timesheets for this contract. So back on the timesheet details tab, we can see there's a create timesheets button top right hand corner, and if I click that, click OK, I've now got 2 weekly timesheets for the week ending 14th and the 21st of June for Sarah Noakes. And if I close this window down, if I go back to the placements tab underneath, we can see the placement for Sarah Noakes at the top, and at the bottom we can see the contract for Sarah Noakes, and further across we can see that the candidate's contract was sent today and the client contract was sent today. If I want to go back into that contract window for any reason, I just need to click on the arrow to the left of extension 00 and it will bring up the contract details for Sarah Noakes. Also, I set up hours that she needed to work, which was 8 to 6 on the job record, and we can see those have been pulled through. So they should have been entered into Sarah Noakes' calendar, so she's unavailable now between 8 and 6. So I'm just going to close this window down again, and I'm going to go into Sarah Noakes' record, which I can do by clicking on this little grey arrowhead to the left of her name. And then I'm just going to make sure that if I go to her events tab, we can see that she's currently working as an administrator at Toys R Us from the 8th to 21st of June. And if I opened her calendar by clicking the Open Calendar button, we can see that she has now been booked out from the 8th to 6 o'clock, Monday to Friday this week and next week as well. So she's now unavailable to work in any other job for that period. Close this window down using the cross and I go back into her record. And that's how to create a temporary placement and create timesheets in HRS Pro.